was this one person I met at LSE. She was a few years above me, and she said something that just literally spun me. So, okay, I was applying. So once I got into uni, I was like, cool, what job am I going to do? And I initially wanted to apply to a certain division within the bank that seemed very aligned to me in terms of like personality traits or whatever. But not that competitive or anything like that, and doesn't compensate as well. But, I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And I was telling her about it. I was like, yeah, I think I might apply to this or whatever. And she, I'll never forget, she sent me this audio. And she was like, Melody, what are you doing?
Oh.
You study economics at the LSE. You are going for the top job. You are going for the most competitive job. Do not apply for that.
Wow.
I remember I was like, this aligns with me as a person. Like, what?
This is where I fit.
Right? But in that, she was like, but you can grow to become the person, right? And honestly, I owe her so much, because otherwise I would have been on a completely different trajectory. And there was then an experience 2 years later with someone who, he has a really funny story, but he basically he dropped out of Oxford and he started like advising like the UK government on like Commonwealth nations and like investing in those businesses there or whatever. And I remember just asking him, like, sorry, how do you decide to, he was like 23 at the time when he started. I was like, how do you just wake up and decide to do that? And he said the words, the audacity of youth. I was like, what? He was like, when you're young, you can be audacious. Like, and you should really like lean into
embrace that.
Because if you flop, people are, oh, well, it's a 23-year-old, they're so cute or whatever, right? Like, of course they were going to. You have time to recover as well. And I married those two together because I think both of them like taught me to go above and beyond, like really try. Like, yes, you think you can do this, but what do you think you can't do? And how do you go for that? For me, I didn't think I could go for the most competitive job. Let me just settle for something that fits me and it's decent. And I would never dream of doing something as crazy as that guy. I think those two experiences that have shaped me and that I probably revisit every month. Wow. I think about them and I'm like anytime I'm like, let me just, yeah, it's okay. I
think about that.
The audacity of youth, going for more. Yeah,
because you would, I mean, the Bible says strength of a man is in his youth, paraphrasing, but basically saying that like it's now, like it's in your youthful age that you have the strength to do these things.
Exactly.
Like we can hope for later, but later comes with later responsibilities that you can't predict. Firstly, whether that's kids or family or aging parents or having to be in a particular place, it is like now, and when I say now, obviously I don't want to put an age to it or anything. It's just where you are now is the youngest that you would ever be.
Exactly.
So
exactly,
this is the most audacious that you can be, not tomorrow. So going for that and just launching yourself into it. I was telling you about my job I took last year. One of the reasons I didn't want to take it was because I was like, no, I don't know if I'm able to like work in that capacity. But now looking back a year ago, like when you were then grown and rise to the occasion, you're like, I could done that.
Oh my goodness.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think actually something that I'm really grateful for in the way that life has taken me is being exposed to people in high places or whatever, however you want to define that. Because then you realize that
they're just normal people. Like the people that sit at the table are actually not.
It's a scam. We're all being scammed. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Like they still, like, I think one of my favorite quotes, I might be saying it wrong, but it's like the rich still cry or something like that, where it's basically like anyone that you think is distant from you, lives in a different world, we are still united by the human experience. They still cry, they still bleed, all this kind of stuff. They still get embarrassed, they still make mistakes. So anyone that you think is somewhere they want to be, they're a perfect human, it literally, that's not it. They still trip on the pavement when the things are on you. But they are, human experience is a great equalizer. So once you observe that, you're like, oh, okay, I could probably also do something crazy, right?
That is so key. Like, and I think it helps people to realize, like you said, that it's not super up there. Like, obviously it takes work and stuff to get there, but it's really just the people that were audacious enough and willing enough to put in a certain level of work that were able to sit at these tables that you're similarly thinking it's
not a different breed of human. It's not a different type. There's nothing innate. There's nothing fixed. It's just they did actions that took them there.
Yeah, they did the work.
You could also hopefully do actions that take you there.
That's so interesting. So in relation to like personal growth and getting better, I know obviously you work in finance, so you're exposed to money more than like, I guess, the other job roles. But how has that like changed your perspective with money versus when you were out with finance, say when you were in school or like uni? I mean, uni probably sort of like, you know, but how's your relationship with money evolved over the years?
Well, I think a familiarity with financial products on the basis, and I mentioned that to talk about investing. I think, in general, I'm probably a bit more comfortable than other people when it comes to investing. And I think people tend to come to me for not financial advice. But you know, for basic lessons on how they should deal with their money to grow their money. So I think that's been an advantage. Being on the inside, seeing how it works.
And do you apply it to yourself, you think? Or do you think, because I know some people say, oh, people that work in finance do the work, but like their financial vibe is not matching up.
It's very possible. Especially I think in the job that I was in, where you give 25, 26-year-olds a stupid amount of money, and they've not shaped as people, I guess, and so it all gets squandered. So I think maybe the point that you're getting is that people can earn the amounts and still live paycheck to paycheck. Very possible. So I think I don't think the job it didn't teach me to save. No. I think my early experiences in life did teach me to save. But I'm saying the job did help me to be familiar with financial products that can grow the savings, let's say. And then now in my new job, which is investing in a much riskier asset, like startups, I am a lot more comfortable with now, instead of just the basic stock market, now in things that have a 1% chance of succeeding. So I think it's exposed me to good ways to grow my money. It's exposed me to wealthy people. But I don't think it's taught me to save now.
Has it changed your risk appetite in your personal life?
Yeah, my new job has definitely changed my risk appetite for sure. I'm now, I think I see
more
money.
Risk averse?
No.
Oh, okay.
Less risk averse. Okay. No, you only make money by spending money, by investing money. So I think two ways. It's made me more interested in putting my money towards something that can either go zero or big. Like, so with more safe investments, the option is just, something that's going to give you 7 to 10%. I'm now more open to things that will either give you 500%
or zero
or nothing. I'm comfortable with that. And then I'm also comfortable with taking more bigger risks, whether that is in trying to start a business or I think in general is how I see life risks. I think even in my spending a little bit more. I think I'm a bit more like, I'm actually okay with putting in a bigger sum of money if it will increase my utility. I think maybe before I got into finance, I think I was probably more like cautious of okay, well, that's a big amount there. Avoid that. But it's like, no, actually, I'm probably more open to exploring larger amounts to see, what is the return on this advance? Is this thing that I'm going to spend be a better quality experience, a better quality product?
Okay, that's interesting. What's your top money tip in your 20s that you've learned?
Like budgeting and stuff like that. Funny enough, I actually started that when I was 15, 16. I would watch these... cash stuffing? No. Oh my goodness. Okay. So it's like a realm of budgeting. Where people budget with, so in the US, it's very US, they budget with their cash. So they print their entire income in cash.
And
their envelopes.
Pop in envelopes.
Exactly.
Right.
So my first thing was basic budgeting and then cash stuffing.
Oh my gosh.
That was 15, 16. So going into uni, I had a budget for uni.
Right.
So that was fine going into adulthood. I think my biggest tip though for people, I'm not gonna say save money, please save money. I would say for in your 20s, invest aggressively if you can. So obviously, have a nice little emergency fund, as little as you can, ideally, especially if that's just gonna be in a savings account. The rest of it, ideally, put in the markets. You have the time to weather any ups and downs. So put that to growing wealth when you have time on your hand in terms of compounding. I think that's probably the biggest tip that would apply to the largest group of people.
And did you learn that outside of finance or? Okay. So you were already into this money thing even beforehand. Okay.
I was
That's
a
so
weird
interesting.
16-year-old.
But I think that's so important because I think some people assume that, you know, in a certain career, it helps you better or
No.
earning more helps. Obviously, earning more
Will
is
always help.
good. Do you get what I mean?
should.
But I think there's a certain, how do I put it? There's certain building blocks that you have to have in place. Like I knew before I started working full time from uni that there were certain things I had to learn about money before that money entered my account.
Good.
Because the minute it does, it's gone. So there are things I was watching so much. I was consuming so much content as to how I wanted to handle my money and my goals for my money before I received the money. So I think it's so important for people to take that responsibility. I know people say, oh, they don't teach you these at school. And I agree.
There are
you know,
lots of things they don't teach you in
yeah,
school.
there are lots of things they don't teach you at school. So I think it's so important that you take personal responsibility with money, especially when we're thinking about being better.
Right.
Because there's only so much you can be better without like leverage.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And that's money will change
Everything.
can
Most
change a lot,
things.
right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you think about just having options and stuff like that, like, let's say two people decide to start a business at 25 and they've both been working for maybe 3-4 years or whatever. The person who was good at the money that now has, I don't know, has saved up comfortably, like, I don't know, 10K, whatever, to put into that business. Meanwhile, you have saved very little. You're going to end up in different places, just factually.
Yeah.
The person can take bigger risks. They can go bigger on advertising or whatever. Money, I don't think it's not trivial, and I really resent like the narrative about like, oh, you're young, like spend or whatever. Like, so funny enough, like even now that I do a lot of traveling, you'll know that the year before,
yes, you had a no spend year.
I had a no spend year in travel. So for context, low spends, no spends, I think everyone should look into it. It's great. And you pick a category of life to either not spending in vacation, traveling. Obviously, I had to pay for the bus and the tube.
But like actually traveling.
Exactly. And I did it because, well, I love challenges. I love just random challenges that shape your character and stuff like that. So for me, it was about self-control. So this was at a time when obviously I was, you know, out of uni, making a lot of money. Literally, all people in my work did was travel. Like every month, they're somewhere.
So Melody, where are you going this month?
Nowhere. Exactly. And literally, no, people were like, why would you, like, literally people were like, why would you do that? Like, you're young. This is time to be traveling.
And
before
you have the money.
Exactly. I was like, I knew what I was doing in terms of like building self-control and being like, I know you can spend. I'm telling you not to spend. So yeah, I did that no spend. And I think linking this back to like finances or whatever, and what I was saying about resenting this notion about like in your 20s, you must be a big spender and indulge or whatever. Build wealth. Like you need money to build other things. Like if traveling, obviously know what adds utility for you.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So for me, it's not like, yeah, traveling is nice and all, but I don't need to.
Yeah.
That's not like the thing that's going to make me happy in life. So if you can cut back on certain things and see that every pound that, or dollar or whatever currency that you're saving is going to something else. I think Graham Staffin, he always says this, that because he lived a very like frugal few years.
Right.
Where he like didn't buy like coffee outside, like £3 coffee, whatever. But he saw it as, look, the £3 today will become £20 in a few years if I put it in the markets. So he valued that more. So yeah, I think it's important for young people to like think about money in that way. Not how much money is in your account today.
Yeah.
What could it be at a time when it probably means more than you buying a Starbucks today?
Yeah.
You're not going to build wealth by saving on Starbucks. I just want to say that. But that mindset.
Yeah. That's so key because I think it's so in going back to the audacious of your youth, like it's so it can be taken the other way where it's like it's live for now, live for now. But it's like we're going to get to 60, you know.
Tomorrow
by
will
God's
come
grace.
by God's grace.
Yes. So it's like, how are you planning for that? And I love the fact of options. I'm going to come and ask you what wealth means for you. But for me, when I think about that, I'm thinking about options. I'm thinking about the freedom to choose. And when you're thinking about this future life as well, where you are now, like, are you happy doing that for the next 50, 60 years if you're working a full-time job, for example?
Word.
Or like being stuck in a place where you don't really have much leverage of your time or your options. So thinking about the future is so important, even if it doesn't seem like the future is anywhere close to you now as young people. And I think even without with the money talk, in being better, it's kind of like, why some people think, why do I have to, I don't need to be any wiser now. I don't need to be any more bookworm now or whatever. But it's like, try and set your eyes on the things above.
Yeah.
Not literally by the scripture, but like set your eyes on things later. Like there's a later you. Like sometimes when I think about, I don't really enjoy reading. I never really did over the years, but I knew that for the future me, or the me that I want to be when I'm out, she better read. She better read. Like I would want my kids to read. Like, so what examples am I gonna show them if I don't do that? So having that foresight, I think is so important, and it applies in the money situation as well, so that you're not just in the now. Like the now is important, but like you don't need all the money now. You don't need all of that now.
And I wonder, like, I don't know if I've seen much conversation about this online, but I think people in our stage of life not looking far enough into the future. And I kind of want to link this to what we were talking about, like ambition dwindling. What if the issue was just that the goal was too short term?
That is so
And I think this is something that, like, I was speaking to my friend about this. We sort of see 30 as like your life is like you're old and elderly.
But it's like there's 40, 50.
Exactly. But I think it's because we
don't
can't
think about it.
Yeah.
That is so true.
It's like too big. So what if, I don't know, I think we need more conversations about like prolonging the vision. And it's not about even money, fitness, anything. It's not about, okay, I want the dream body in 6 months' time, in the end of the year. I want to be a millionaire in 5 years' time. Extend it.
Think about your lifestyle.
Extend it, exactly. Like you will live longer. And I think it's important for two reasons. One, just longevity of your vision so that you don't, like we said, go complacent or disillusioned. But two things, I think it might also change the road you take. Like if your goal is, okay, fitness is an easy one to use. If your goal is long-term health, you train in a different way than if your goal is
short-term
Greek god body in 6 months.
Yeah.
So
I probably won't do surgery as well.
Yeah.
No, but really, if you actually thought about because the consequences, if you actually were worried about what you would be in a few years' time.
No.
No, but I think that is so key. That is such a great perspective.
No.
Because when we actually think about consequences long term.
Steroids too.
Do you get what I mean? Like there's certain decisions that you probably will not make.
Yeah.
But if you're only thinking about what I'm gonna look like, what I'm gonna feel like, what I'm gonna be like in like 5-10 years, and that's where it stops. You actually make different decisions.
And then you don't want to get to a place where it's like, and let's even bring this back to money, where people it might be harder to visualize. Let's say, okay, cool, I need to make the most amount of money in 3 years' time, whatever. There are certain routes that take you there. Some routes don't. Okay, use real examples of maybe some successful startups or whatever. Revolut, right? All these neobanks. And the funny thing about these companies is they only started making profit like a couple years ago. They've been running for like 10 years, let's say. So if you wanted to be a millionaire in 3 years, Revolut, Monzo was probably not the route for you, right? But in the long term, it might be. In 3 years, then you start seeing some of the stuff that we see online. And social media, marketing agents, all these like sort of get rich quick schemes, the Forex stuff, all this kind of stuff. That way of making money can take you for a little bit, but it doesn't take you further. And then you might realize that when you reach 30 and you look back in your life and you're like, okay, who did I become in the process of hitting that goal?
Wow.
Maybe you don't like that person. Maybe that kind of person will not serve you for being a 40-year-old, being a 50-year-old because of the actions that you took. So I do think the duration of your goal does change the actions you take, and both of them change the type of person you become. So I don't know. I feel like people in our phase of life, we need more conversation about extending the vision a little bit. That is
so good. Like I absolutely, because even me, when I think about life, like how much have I actually thought? Like unless you're thinking about your pension plan and stuff, obviously I'm thinking about my retirement plan, but out with just the typical, like how much have you actually thought about your life in your 40s? In your like it's not talked about.
Like, do I want to be the lovely auntie that all the like kids want to come and talk to?
Do you get what I mean?
If I do, what kind of life?
Do I need to? Yeah, what kind of life do I want to?
Where am I living? Who am I partnered with?
Oh
what kind of
like,
job experience have I had?
That is so real. That is really good.
Do I volunteer? Like let's just use that topic, right? Especially anyone who's like, oh, I really want to make money, be rich or whatever. If the kind of person that you want to become is like a mentor, like, we all love that figure of like that older person who's just such a mentor figure. Maybe you want to have given outside of yourself, right? Maybe it wasn't always about making money.
Yeah.
Maybe you have spent energy on something charitable or whatever. You need to fit that into your goal.
Yeah.
Can you be a billionaire and also doing that? I don't know. Maybe you can. But like, it's thinking about all of those sort of things. I think it's big.
Wow. Wow. That is so good. Expand your vision length.
Yeah.
I love it. That had to be like one of the things I'm taking away from today for sure. But how do you maintain a sense of balance in terms of all of this, doing all these things and like avoiding burnout? Do you burn out?
Oh yeah, I have before. I think, well, being systematic.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
But as long as you just make the system conducive for balance.
I love a good system. Because it's like when you build systems, you don't have to think about it.
So good. We're not doing goals in 2025. We're doing systems.
Systems.
Yeah. So I think for me, like, so spirituality, my faith, big tenet, and making sure that I put in energy towards those things as well. Yeah, really, really important. I think this whole conversation around that and people taking those sort of things as like back burner things that just sort of work.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a big, one of my favorite quotes. Actually, I think it was, so we go to the same church.
Yeah.
I think our pastor once said it, and it must have been like 15 years ago or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Where he drew this graphic and basically the concept was like, if you're not going up, you are falling down. Like this concept of like stagnancy, plateau, I don't know if it exists really. Like you're like, oh, I feel like I'm stuck. I think
you're going in the opposite direction.
There's only 2 ways to go. There's actually only 2 ways. And yeah, to link that's my point. I think in spirituality, the things that we might not put so much energy to, it's like if you are not inputting into that, you are not growing in that. Just period. So I try to be really diligent with the things that I know are good for my faith and putting the energy into that. And that has its time. That has a schedule. Same with health.
Okay.
Like,
I was going to go to that actually.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, like having, okay, what frequency am I working out or whatever? What type of workouts am I doing? Linking back to the longer term goals or whatever, nutrition, stuff like that. And I think like having your core tenets of life, I would say, and those, or pillars, let's say. And
building systems in them.
Exactly. And making sure that all the systems that feed into those things are well watered, I think lead to a balanced life. And going to a point about how a system helps you not to think about it is ideally, because day-to-day life, like, you know, I think especially at this time of the year, you're thinking about, okay, I want to hit this and this. But there is the mundane Monday, right? The Tuesday that happens. Yeah. The beauty of life is if you have a system that you can go, your mundane Mondays and your boring Tuesdays still feed into those goals you're trying to achieve. So I think that's how I achieve balance with systems and making sure that the systems apply to core things that matter to me. I think in times in life where I felt like something's missing, something's going a bit off skew, is when a pillar of my life has slipped in some way. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I love that. And I think it reminds me of a lesson I was saying I came across recently, that in as much as about the big goals and whatnot, it's really down to your daily habits that accumulate to these results that you're looking for. So it's not just the one-off, and back to consistency and compounding interest in even your habits. It's the daily habits that produce results. So if you are not going to infuse it, if it's just going to be a goal and there's no system in place for you to apply that daily, then there will be no results, or the results will be super diluted.
It's a wish list.
She said it. Amazing. We can go on and on, but like, what's your favorite, I guess, habit health-wise daily? I know you run.
Yeah, so I picked up running. Okay, actually, and one of the coolest things I think I did last year. Okay, so as a kid, I used to sprint. So I'm more used to like shorter distances. So mentally switching from running for 10 seconds or whatever to running prolonged, like, so 5Ks sort of where I'm at. Okay. Was a journey, and I, was on a plan to learn that. So I think, running for me has really made activity even easier now, because also you don't need to go to a gym. You can just put some shoes on and run. So running, so core blocks will be any form of activity. So even on the days when I'm not training, whether running or at the gym, going outside at some point for a walk, ideally in the morning.
Okay.
And then other than that, it will be like a few cardio days in the week, and then a few lifting days.
Okay.
And then hiking is also a new.
Oh, I love a good hike.
Yeah, it's also a new activity for me. So ideally, like once a month or 2 times a month or whatever, fitting that in. So I think for me, like a dream week that I had in December, I was lifting at the start of the week. I did a few runs at a park run on a Saturday, and then went on a hike on a Sunday after church.
Okay.
That kind of lifestyle feels very active to me, and it doesn't feel too
much.
Yeah, like I think when I was younger as a teenager, intense in the gym was nice, but I think in terms of longevity, in terms of longevity and consistency, if it can ease into your life and make you feel good and energized and lead into other things, best.
And I think making it enjoyable as well is quite important.
Yeah.
I enjoy going to the gym, but I find that I enjoy being outside more sometimes, you know.
Gosh, yes.
So the other what I see here is options. Like when people say, "Oh, I just hate the gym. I don't like the gym. I don't like lifting." Like the other way is like just be active in one way or the other.
Yeah,
like
how are you fitting it in?
Well, for me, I have systems.
Yeah, slay.
So I have set days. So based on what my meet, like I usually have meetings after work or whatnot. So the days I know that are longer, I take it out and then I put it in. I'm a morning gym person. I don't know. Are you?
Yes.
My husband's not. So, but I love going in the morning. Yeah. So and I have my set days. So on the set days, I don't know. Your mind is just like, today's the like weight training day or gym day. And then for those set days, I have what I'm doing on each day. So I know like Monday, for example, is leg day.
So you do not go into the day thinking what am I to do?
No, never. Exactly. I used to do that before and then I would not do it. Or I'll do it like I'll go super hard for 1 week and then the next week I'm not. And even on the days where like I might miss it, like I'm a bit more comfortable in it now because I kind of know like my next round is coming up. I know how to like change it over in the week. So gym a couple of times, 3-4 times a week, and then I try and go for a walk during lunch as well. So on the days that I'm not exactly in the gym, like my rest days, I'm outside. Yeah. I only infused walking last year.
Nice.
I think it was during fasting when I was trying to go on a prayer walk and stuff. But I just thought, this is so like refreshing. Like when you come back to work, it just feels so stuffy. So activity in some way or the other can happen, and it can be like good for you, you know, and infusing it in some way. So on Saturday, I'm looking for a way to bring back like badminton to my schedule or something.
So the social aspect as well.
Yeah. I think more for the long term. I subconsciously maybe made that decision without thinking about it. But like more for a long term, like there are days where maybe I might not have time for the gym anymore, you know, maybe when they're kids or whatever, or everything in the middle. But how can I still maintain some sort of active lifestyle with just nature? And I think that's so key. But we can keep talking.
Oh gosh.
But I think it's been long enough. Give us one last, when you think of building your better you, what's your why? Like, do you have a set why, or do you just think it's something that is just melody?
What is my why? Yeah, no, I don't think there is a set why. I think it's just more of the greater concept of like, I want to maximize. I want to be the best that I can be. Yeah. If I'm here now in any stage of life that I'm in, how do I be the best in it?
Yeah.
And I think that's important when you're thinking about, I think it's sometimes easy for us to think the grass is always greener. Like, okay, when I hit this, when I X, Y, then life will be great. And it's like, actually just today, water your grass here today, and make it better. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I think for me, it's just more like, I don't want to leave this earth and feel like I wasn't like at my best. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like, obviously I think with each day, there's always going to be more that you can do. But like at that phase in your life where you go to the pearly gates, like, would you say confidently that I've done?
Yeah, that you redeemed the days. Like, there wasn't you weren't wasteful, or you didn't take for granted the fact that you had breath today.
Absolutely.
You embraced it and you said, thank you, Lord, for the day. I will do the best that I can from what I understand.
Absolutely. And I think for me as well, raising the next generation or your siblings to be better, I think just setting just keeping the standard set for me so that they have a higher standard to follow. You know, I think it's so important. If not, there's nothing for them to follow. But thank you so much. It's been a lovely hour or more, I'm sure. But I hope you guys were able to take out a thing or two from this conversation. Where can we find you, Melody, if we wanted to connect with you more?
Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube, Musing with Melody,
where you talk about more hot takes.
Yeah. I like to discuss like bigger philosophical topics and just things that are on my mind. Yeah, you can find me there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys.
And until next time, see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Woohoo! Thank you.
Well done.